All right. So this is, I'll show you a fun little thing where I've got a bunch of single sounds. So these are like speak and spell sounds.
Yep.
So you can hear them all there.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, they're one after another. So what I want to do is I want to sort of combine them into radium. I want to have them all mapped across, like one after another. So there's a function here. I can select all of these files. I can go to the view menu, and it's combine files to new file. And this is going to create a new audio file with them one after another.
Where does it make
that
it?
Makes sense.
Oh, in that transfer path.
You can choose in the transfer path. Yeah.
Fine.
So I can choose the file name, what file type it's going to be, the spacing between each one if I wanted to have like a lot of space. And I'm going to say automate the radium regions, and that'll make sense in a second. So it does its comp. And there's all of the ones that I just selected, and it's automatically made these radium regions one after another, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the gap in between. So now when I go into radium and load it, they're going to show up as individual regions, which means, when I hit one, it's randomly picking
Cool. I see.
each of the regions. So that's fun. So let me show you some of the fun modulator stuff, because this is something I didn't show in the other one. There's a random start time. So this is a little range slider. So random start is going to sort of just pick randomly from each of the regions a different start point. So you would use this if you want to generate variations of a sound.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want it to sound exactly the same each time. So you can just... Actually, these are lousy sounds. But it'll be fun. We'll just load one sound. Okay, here we go.
Right.
This will be a good example of the random start, because you'll be able to physically see. So if I keep it all the way to the left, it's basically not doing any randomness. It's always going to start from the beginning, as you can see there.
Mm-hmm.
But if I crank it all the way to the right, it's now starting to pick different parts of that sound.
The further to the right, the more random it is. Does that make sense? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's basically the range. So I've got a start and an end point there, right?
Right.
So it's saying that this is going to be a random range anywhere between that point. So when I actually choose 50%,
Right.
it's going to pick the start point from there to there.
Okay.
I mean, one of the things that people always ask me is, can I make this a 2?
Yeah.
Kind of, so I can randomize the start and the end point. That might be something I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But for this, I just wanted to be able to randomly pick. So that's what random start does. And then you've got one here for random octaves. This is going to be really big. So this is randomly going to choose an octave to play this sound at.
Oh, wow.
And it's not shifting the pitch globally. So if I hit one note and then I hit the other, that original one that I was playing, it doesn't change pitch, right? So it's just... So these are the kind of weird things that you're not going to find inside a musical sampler.
No, these are the sort of things that are handy to learn, because
really sound design.
Can I ask a question at any point?
Sure, yeah.
Is there any point, say you like what you've got here, it's obviously starting with quite a hard cut because it starts in the middle of a sound. Can it fade up? Is there any way?
Oh, yeah. So there's
okay.
2 ways of doing that. So you can just use the attack envelope,
Right?
Which I talked about before. So that's basically like when I hit a note, how long it takes to reach full volume.
Right,
that's one way. And then I touched on this in the other video as well, but I'd set this all the way to 0. So now it's really harsh.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got this time-specific amplitude envelope. So if I wanted to ramp it up over something short like this, and then have it kind of drop down a little bit. Come on. And then actually we'll go all the way down here. And then like this. So this is all going to happen over the course of 3 seconds. So for this one sound, when I play it, goes down, up, it's going to fade down, up, and then stay steady. And that's per voice. So if I do the same thing and then hit another key, it's going to be performing the same volume as well. So again, it's not like taking a mixer volume and going like this across the entire thing. It's individually affecting each voice. And that gets really, really powerful. And because you'll be able to hear that as well. I talked about this before, but I'll just recap. So here's the pitch one. So we'll do the same thing with the pitch. We'll just get to go up and down.
Yep.
And then up and down. Up and down.
Yep.
Up and down. So all of them are sort of following that envelope. Versus if I was to use a pitch bend wheel, if I was to do that same thing on a pitch bend wheel, it would do everything. All those 3 notes would all happen at once. So that's really cool. So you got ones for semitones, sense, gain. So if you wanted to have one sound to be louder than the other without having to worry about the velocity that you're hitting it on the keyboard. That's also important because if a lot of people don't have the MIDI keyboard hooked up, so they can use this little online keyboard, right?
Yep.
So now it's going to apply random gain to each of those things. You can do random pan. That's really cool for a mono sound. This one isn't, so I'll just recall it, choose one track, load it again. These are the kind of things eventually I want to put into Radium itself, so you don't have to do a recall and load it back in. You'll be able to like choose just one channel. But had to come out some point, this thing.
Yeah.
So random pan, if I really randomize it.
Oh yeah, I'm getting that.
There it is.
Wow.
So that again, when you start doing clusters, this is a mono sound.
Yeah. Really spaces it out.
Really spaces it out. So that's fun stuff. Random delay. Oh yeah, that's the amount of time on it before I hit a note on before it starts to sound. That's if you've got multiple sounds like layered and you want to be able to like randomly offset. So one, sometimes it's going to be like 10 milliseconds behind the other one.
And how many of these
really
things
useful.
can you have at once, Justin?
Oh, you just keep on going.
Oh, right.
Just
fine.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I just keep trashing. Got a little carried away there. The other one that's cool is random attack. That's one I just added. So this will randomly add up to 1 second onto this attack slider. So when I hit on, right now it's adding a little bit of attack. Right, with it off, it will be back to our clicky.
Yep. I see.
And again, that's all for creating variations when you have multiple things layered together.
Yeah.
So let's put this one on.
Is there a quick shortcut key to load sounds from SoundMiner as opposed to having to go to Radium and press load? Just questions I'm thinking of.
There is. You can assign them. There's like a load into current sample, something here. Go to the key mappings.
Load into current slot. Okay, cool.
It's Control L. Right. Usually I always use this button because I've got that assigned. I'll show you how to do that. Do you have a MIDI controller?
I do.
Okay, so what you would do is you go set load MIDI controller, and then you hit one of your buttons, and that's it. So it knows it's controller number 109.
Fine.
If I wanted to move it to this one, it'd be controller 108. If I wanted it on this pad,
enough.
Yep. So it's 109, and I set it, and now whenever I choose the sound, just click, and then I just hit load. There we go.
Got you. Oh, cool.
So I've got these two sounds layered now. So this robot transform, that's this one.
Yep.
We're going to start adding some random modulators on this one. So we'll do random semitones. So you can hear just that one element is randomly changing its pitch, whereas this one is staying constant because we don't have a random modulator on that. Other really advanced things you can do are these envelopes, which means that when it crosses over a certain point, I want something to happen.
Right.
So I'm on envelope 1 right now. So I'll do it so that it's going to be fully up at this point in the sound, and I'll just drag this all the way down. It's because I'm controlling my PC with splashtop. It's not very responsive.
Okay.
But we get the idea.
I do get the idea. What are you controlling there, though? What's the envelope actually changing here?
Right now, it's nothing. So this is just going to be called envelope 1.
Right.
And what I'm going to do is choose envelope 1 for my source here. So I'm going to say envelope 1 is up at the top, and I can assign it to a destination.
Okay, I'm with you.
So
wow,
I can assign it to. Let's do something that you'll actually be able to hear. Let's go reverb wet. So I have to turn the reverb on.
Yep.
So you can actually see the wet.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Go up.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So as it goes, as it's masking that sound, it's controlling one of those parameters. So you could use that to automate EQ.
Yeah, like a high pass.
Do anything really.
Yeah. High
pass filter. Yeah. If there was like a loud bump in the sound there that you wanted to just kind of roll off, you would just draw in your little automation curve, and then it would get applied. So those things are really cool, and you've got 2 of them that you can assign to multiple things, and you can assign the same envelope to multiple things. So I'd go envelope 1 now, and we'll change it to reverb dry, but I want to invert it, which is there.
Okay.
Right. So that's like the phase button, which means as the wet goes up, the dry is going to go down. So if you watch, wet's going up, dry's going down.
Yeah, I love it. That's really handy.
Isn't that handy?
No, I can see how that could be incredibly useful.
And of course, you can change the range as well that it's actually affecting. So right now it was doing all of wet, but if I just wanted like 50% wet,
Yeah.
so the most it will go up to 50% wet. So that's the envelopes. They're pretty fun.
I can see
the other ones I didn't.
the power in them could be incredible.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is there a way to? I'm just thinking of these questions as I go. Is there a way to say you had like hundreds of envelopes, all these weird things, everything going at once? Is there a way? Is there a master bypass and go shit? I don't know what the original sounded like. I just bypass everything.
That's a good question. There is individual bypasses on the modulation, but I probably should add a master bypass here. There is a master bypass of the effects, which is that button right there. So if you were just modulating effects, that would work.
Oh, that would.
But yeah, but quite a few of these, like the envelopes, I can choose a destination, like the start point. Well, that's going to be crazy. No, I'm not going to do that. It's going to feed back on itself.
Oh,
so I've got an LFO now that's modulating the start point. So, so it's going to.
It's actually pretty cool.
Pretty cool, right?
Don't even know what it's doing. Yeah.
And I can change the frequency of it.
Okay. All right.
Bananas. Well, actually, while we're talking about the LFOs, those are kind of fun. So there's some presets here. So there's an LFO for a sine wave, which is what this is, a square wave, a triangle, and a sawtooth wave. But you can also draw in your own LFO shapes. So let's say that this was happening over 1 second. It's just going to keep repeating this pattern over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got it very slow, so you're going to be able to see it sort of like modulating that start point. I can make it like really crazy, I think. And I'll really see it go.
The fact that you can see it as well, it's incredibly handy.
Yeah, it's cool, right? And then I'll assign it to say, well, go back to our reverb again, just because it's on the screen. We'll assign it to the wet. So you can see that envelope is being applied to the wet.
Yeah.
So that's fun because you can adjust the speed that the envelope executes at with the hertz little slider there. So if you want it really, really fast, like this is a bit nuts.
I'm sure there's a use for that somewhere, but I can't think what it is.
Somewhere.
There'll be a use for that. But yeah.
Okay, so I'll turn all this off. The other ones you've got here, there's a time-specific envelope for panning. So let's just make it do this. So it should be, I'm going to mute the other one just so we can. It doesn't seem to be panning very well for me. Did I do something wrong? I might have done something wrong. Or I might have this might be a good demo bug.
Not panning for me at all, I don't think.
Yeah, no, it's not either for me. Let me just try these other ones.
Yeah, that's working.
Yeah, that's working.
Yeah.
And then this is high pass frequency. So it should be.
Yeah, that's working.
Yeah, that's working. Low pass frequency.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's working. Okay, there's another bug for me, Graham.
See, these are handy for you as well.
These are handy, yeah. And this is a sort of a built-in Doppler effect. So I can just draw in the Doppler that I want.
They're great, really handy.
And right now, so if I wanted to make that longer, I could just adjust the envelope point here, right? Or I'll make it very short. If I go set, I can set the duration of what it is that I'm viewing. So if I just now make this, I'll double it and make it like 10 seconds.
Okay.
So it now takes 10 seconds, you see, so the grid has changed.
Yep.
So that is good. If I wanted it a lot faster, if I chose like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
There's that. I can also make it loop. So if I turn the loop on now. So you're hearing that? So it's executing this envelope and then doing it again and again and again, all from the same note on.
Can you do crazy things? I mean, why you do this, I don't know, but can you do crazy things like LFO the set so that the time changes over the LFO, or is that just too
That would be a bit too
I
crazy.
know
at
it
this
would be
point.
mental, and I'm not saying you should,
Yeah.
but I just didn't know
Yeah.
everything was LFO'd, or it's just the main effects and
Just the main effects
Yeah.
and some other things. I mean, people have asked me to be able to have the frequency of one LFO modulate another LFO. So those are the kind of things. Those are the kind of requests that I'm taking now.
wow. Okay.
So because then in future, yeah, you'd be able to have maybe the envelope modulate the frequency that an LFO goes at. So it could be going slower here and then faster there. So for like spaceship buys,
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
modulate like an LFO. So it's doing a ring modulator. So it goes whoa, 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 whoa. You know what I mean? Like those kind of sounds. What else can I show you? Well, there's this little transfer area here. So whenever I've done a recording, it shows up in my little transfer areas there.
And where is
And
that?
then
That's where you've named in that area for it to record, is it? Desktop, whatever it
Exactly.
was, or wherever you put it.
Yeah. You can set right here. Excuse me. What your transfer path is.
Yeah, cool.
So right now it's just going to my documents folder, Reaper session, Reaper media.
I guess would you have to be careful with something like this, that if you set it somewhere, I don't know, like the desktop, and then you wiped your desktop a week later, you then couldn't use if a client came back a month later and went, I love what you've done, can it be slightly different? You'd be a bit screwed because the files wouldn't be able to recall. So you should really put them somewhere, I don't know, maybe I should have a sound effects drive with a Reaper path or something, just so that I never delete it.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. So a lot of people just create a Radium drop kind of thing.
Sorry, not Reaper, yeah.
Yeah. I know what you meant. And then just throw all the files inside that folder.
Yeah, fine.
Because chances are, once you've done something, it's not going to be perfect right away anyway. You're going to want to, have it back here in the player and mark just a section of the sound that you want, and then transfer that to Pro Tools, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could go through
anything.
So how do I get that file into Pro Tools now, or into whatever? Is there because I see there's also there's a record and a render. What's the difference?
Oh yeah.
In them?
Okay. Let me. Yeah. So the record. Oh, get it up again. Oh. What? Come on. Yeah. Splashtop crashed on me. That's why. Hold on. So record basically allows me to perform a sound, whereas record would be just as if I hit middle C on my keyboard.
Render,
So I'll show you. Yeah, the render.
I'm with you. So it's a one-shot sort of save.
A one-shot.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm with you.
So I can render it. I'll just drag it. So hold the mouse down, and then I can drag it to like my application, like Pro Tools or something like that. And that is that sound through reverb as though it was just hit on middle C.
Cool. So if you
sometimes a little easier.
So if you take that render and drag it into, you just dragged it straight into SoundMiner, didn't you?
Yeah. So I could drag it onto Pro Tools. So there's also a key command here.
Drag it into SoundMiner and save them all as your own homemade, whatever, different effects that you might
absolutely.
Want to.
Yeah.
And where does it stay? Is that still referencing the original file on wherever you've left it? It's not making a new file anywhere.
It does make a new file.
Oh, it does.
Because it needs to render the reverb and all that kind of stuff into it.
And where's that? Where's that go?
Same path. Right. Same as your transfer path here. That's where everything goes. Everything that gets recorded or rendered inside Radium goes to that transfer path.
So if I'm working on a show, and I've got SoundMiner up in the background as I do, and it's obviously referencing where the show is, where the path is for that particular audio files for Pro Tools, and then I open Radium and I have a different path set for the Radium record thing. I presume they can be different.
Yep, that's right.
And then I drag it into SoundMiner. Yeah. I drag it into SoundMiner. Which one does it put it in? The one that SoundMiner is referenced to, or the one that Radium is referenced to?
Well, by me dragging it into the player, it's not adding it to the database at this point. It's just throwing it in the player, and it's referencing whatever Radium recorded to. Fine. So it'd be inside my Reaper media path. Fine. Now, there is another thing, just to confuse you a little bit more. There's a spot to DAW key command.
Right.
So what this will do is a render, but it will render it in your transfer path, in your main transfer path, so wherever your Pro Tools session is, and throw it directly on your Pro Tools timeline.
Fine. That sounds what I would need.
Yeah. So I don't have Pro Tools installed on this PC. I'll just get
it's fine, 6 1/2 dozen, isn't it?
Reaper up here. Yeah. They're all about the same. So
yeah.
So throw it there. So I'll try doing a spot to DAW. I haven't tried this on Windows, so this will be a fun experiment. So I make sure my key mappings, it's What is it?
Yes.
S. So I just hit S on here. I have to have my DAW to sound minor.
Yeah.
To the Reaper extension.
Yeah.
Hit S, there we are. There's my sound.
Perfect.
Yeah, except it crashed splashtop again. Did it? Oh, no, there we go. So yeah, that would work. So you could just change it to Pro Tools as your DAW. And then once you find something that you absolutely love, you'd have to make sure that it's what you love at C3, right? On middle C on your keyboard.
Of course.
Then you could just hit that. It saves you the step from having to hit record, stop record, and then spot to the DAW. So if you wanted to do just simple pitch ramping and those kind of things, would be the way to do it.
For me, I think that would be what I would use, because I'm not going to be, I'm no keyboard player. I'm not going to be performing lots of, I say that, I don't presume I won't do lots of sound design with multiple fingers. That ain't going to happen. But I will be designing really nice one-shot effects with maybe multiple banks, but still. So I will presumably use the render more than anything.
Definitely.
Yeah, you never know.
Anything? Oh, well, up here, this is okay. So this is your master volume control as well. So if you see stuff clipping, then you can crank it down there. There's even a clipping warning that shows up there, if and only if you're not recording to 32-bit. So there's an option here to record the audio in 32-bit float.
Won't be doing that.
And so that there's no clipping. So you can decide which one you want. I just keep an eye on it. I prefer to store everything as like 24-bit.
Yeah.
And then just like throw it in there.
It's all I'm working at in Pro Tools anyway, so it's no point. But yeah. Well, that is a was, but and a mini so there's 6 banks, if you want to call them banks.
5 at the moment.
Wow, I can't imagine doing much more than that.
No, technically there's no limit. I could add a ton more.
Does it just eat up tons of compute? I mean, how much memory does it take up if you start going crazy and adding everything, choppers, flanges, blah, blah, blah? Does it start to eat in to the RAM?
No.
Fine.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Even at CPU usage, because, I've always got to live inside Pro Tools world, right? So I'll show you right now the task manager, which is the same as activity monitor on Mac. So right now I'm using 3.9%, which is quite high. So here's a little tip. If you want to lower the CPU, just close the Radium window and it will just stop processing and it drops down to 0.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But of course it keeps everything. You don't lose anything. So you just call it back up again when you want to do more sound design.
Oh, I see. So having it open that does it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's how it knows, because right now it's open. So it will be doing sounds. But as soon as I close it, nothing works anymore.
Ah, okay.
I say that. Yeah, nothing works.
No, nothing's working.
Good.
One last question I can think of. How do I, because I've not actually done it yet, how do I, and you might not know the answer to this because it might be different for every keyboard, but how do I connect, where's the settings in Radium where I can actually tell it that I've got a keyboard connected, or is that more my Mac than anything else?
Oh, it's right there. So you plug it in and it'll just show up. So this single keyboard right now outputs one. This is MIDI machine control kind of thing,
right?
And this is the actual MIDI. So you might have to experiment, just toggle each one and then whack on some keys. The only other hiccup is some keyboards, especially these pads up at the top, will output on channel 10. Now Radium only listens on channel 1. So in this case, I've got a MIDI channel button here, and if I push it, it's going MIDI channel 1. So that just means that I can trigger things with these buttons as well.
I've got quite a big MIDI keyboard somewhere hidden behind me in the studio, which I never use because it's too big. So now I've got this tiny little Akai thing, which I'm surprised if it even outputs on MIDI 1. No, I think that's all it outputs on. I don't think it does much else.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can't. It's not very complicated. So it should.
Right. Good.
It
Good. No, it should work.
So it does
most
work
stuff
with
does.
Things I've got. Yeah, I've got like I can't remember stuff for Foley passes and stuff. That all works. So it should work. I'm sure it will. I'll get that up and going this afternoon.
I'll show you one other thing. A lot of people have asked about automating these parameters with like MIDI controller pots.
Yep.
And that's something I've still got to do, but I do have this thing called set the target MIDI controller number. So if I do this and move a controller, it's saying this is controller 21, and there's the value. I set it, and now I can roll over any control. So if I wanted like stereo panner, I hit T on my keyboard, and now it's targeted. So now as I move this pot, it's now moving that control. But it's only one pot to one control. So if I now wanted it to stereo field, It tells me it's now doing the stereo field. T again.
Yeah.
And you can do things like the start point as well. So there we go. Now I've got it on the start point. That's kind of useful if you.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go quite deep.
So, yeah. People have asked to be able to do, of course, multiple parts to multiple controls and a single part to multiple controls.
Who are these people?
They're crazy. I'm not going to name them by name.
No, don't.
They'll come over to my house and
don't do it yet.
Yeah, rip off my computer. But I mean, they're all great ideas. It's just all a matter of time, right?
Yeah,
you know how it is.
Do you know at the start you showed that thing where you had to, so you wanted to you selected multiple effects and you did the windows, I can't remember what it was, consolidate or whatever it was.
Combine.
Yep. Is that the only way to get multiple sounds into one bank of radium? Do I have to make so I have to make, I mean, it doesn't matter, but I have to make a new file every time. And then I have to save that file obviously as well in case I ever need to go back to it. Is that right?
Exactly.
Right, okay.
But that's only if your source files are built like that. So, you know, a lot of these files, if I scroll down, especially to the cartoon tracks, this is what a lot of the recorders are doing now, is putting multiple clips inside a single sound file, right?
Yeah, I've got a few of these.
So these are great because you can use the Shift R. That would just automatically capture all of those as regions.
Oh, Shift R, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah. And now if I hit load, again, I'll use my keyboard. There we go. So now, without having to do that combine thing, I've got them all as individual regions.
Oh,
so now when I hit them, turn the reverb off.
And can you then adjust those regions if they're like slightly too long, too short? Can you do it in Radium, or do you have to go back to?
You'd have to recall, yeah. These are, these are little improvements.
No, I'm not. Sorry, sounds like I'm having a go. I'm not. I'm just thinking of
questions. Oh, no. No, they're great questions. They're great questions. So yeah, now I can just
how did you readjust this point?
That's /
All right, fine.
There's a key command for that. So if you go to preferences and go to waveform, your zoom to duration. Right now I've got it set to 2 seconds, which means that wherever my mouse is hovering over, I do that, it will zoom in and zoom out. That's one way of doing it. You can also use your mouse wheel.
Right. Yeah.
Just use your mouse wheel to zoom in. But I find that's like too long.
That's
for me. This zoom in, zoom out is way better. Because then you can just like go in, check your endpoint, adjust it, and then when you reload, you've now got that new endpoint.
Excellent. Cool, mate. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, all makes sense.